Hello, my name is Galen Sutherland,
Hello, my name is Adhik Reddy.
and this is our presentation for our findings for the State College Penn State BioBlitz. So the first organism we found was a vertebrate, and it's the North American crow. We identified it using the iNaturalist app and its distinct features. These crows live all over North America. They're one of the most common avian species. They typically roost in trees and they forage in many different environments, and whether it's urban or rural areas, forests or farmland. An interesting fact about crows and how they behave with other organisms is that if one of a crow's group or murder is killed by a predator or another creature, the crows will have a little almost funeral, and they'll find out what killed the crow, and then they will hunt and attack whatever killed their group mate or whatever they find threatening. These crows are important to humans because they play a big role in native beliefs and in mythology. And another interesting fact is that they can remember and recognize human faces, and they can act accordingly based on their interactions with these humans. The second creature we identified was an invertebrate, the seepage dancer dragonfly, using the iNaturalist app. We found this dragonfly at the Arboretum on a sunny day, and it was about 70 degrees. These dragonflies can be found all over northeastern and northeastern North America. Distinct feature about these dragonflies is that the males and females have starkly different colors. The males tend to be blue and black striped, while the females tend to be black and yellow and tan striped. They tend to feed on other insects, and they're beneficial for humans because they eat these nuisance of insects like flies and gnats and sometimes mosquitoes.
The flowering plant that we identified as the common sunflower using the iNaturalist app. It's called the Philanthus annuus, the common sunflower. It's usually large. It's usually large in size. We use the humans use this for edible oils and edible fruits like sunflower seeds, which we usually eat. The sunflower usually grows up to 9.8 feet. They're sexually sterile, so they reproduce through pollination. They are in many other, like we have just identified the yellow one, but they're in many other colors like red, orange. They also we humans also use some flowers for bird food or as livestock forage as their food or the meal, and also in some industrial applications. Sunflowers first domesticated in the America. So that's it. We move on to the next one. Non-flowering plants. We have identified ostrich fern. We had a look. We had identified it using the Arboretum signs. It is native to Eastern North America, Eastern Asia, and Europe. The ostrich fern is one of the most common native ferns. The plant can survive till it reaches a degree of -4. They have fertile heads, fronds, spores, and they can grow up to 2 to 6 feet. We humans use ostrich ferns for their fertile heads for making medicine, and also we use it as a seasonal delicacy in our food. Fungus. We have identified oak bracket using iNaturalist. It's an inedible species of fungus belonging to the genus Nautilus. Uh, it usually consists of bracket fungi with fibrous flesh. It has been observed in North America and temperate northern Europe, where it is described as widespread but locally common, most often found growing at the base of oak trees. It It causes white row and decay at the trunks of the trees. It secretes an amber liquid which weeps from tubes in its upper surface. The oaks don't really help out humans in any ways, but it plays a vital role in the woodland ecosystem.
So we had some trouble identifying some of these plant species, specifically the one pictured here. We never actually found out what species this plant is, other than just knowing its features. The iNaturalist app was helpful for identifying the animals somewhat, but it gave many different possibilities for what species these organisms could be. So it left it to our interpretation, I guess. But yeah, there are a lot of small variations in the species, like the ostrich fern. There are many other ferns that look like that. But if it weren't for the arboretum signs, iNaturalist wouldn't have been too big of a help, I guess. But the vertebrates were definitely very easy to identify because they are all over squirrels and chipmunks and different distinct birds. So for our experiment, we chose to do the experiment on crows, and our question is, are crows able to remember the faces of humans based on mutual interactions between the two species? So this is just going off of the idea that crows are able to remember human faces pretty easily, and they can hold grudges, I guess, against humans that treat them badly. And this is testing how well they can do that, because crows are renowned for their smarts and intelligence, for being birds. And our hypothesis would be that if humans interact negatively with crows, then they'll be more likely to be attacked in the future over time than if they were to ignore the crows and just simply walk by. So we found a study published in the Royal Society by a group of three scientists, that analyzed how many times so they basically tagged and trapped and released crows, but they did so wearing different kinds of masks. So they used like a hostile looking dangerous mask, and then they used a neutral mask. And they studied how the crows responded in returning with their groups to mob and attack the person with that mask. And they found that the number of attacks increased over time when they were exposed to the dangerous mask, and it increased even more the number of times they were exposed to that mask. And they also found that there was no increase, not even no change even, from the exposure to the neutral masks. So if they were to mob or attack the neutral mask, it was just because of the trapping, the action of trapping and releasing. So they found that crows can, in fact, remember faces and attack or mob based on interactions with those faces, and they can hold grudges. So what would our experiment entail? We thought that experimenters could walk by or walk pretty close by crows that are observing them. And experimenters will only walk past a certain group of crows and scare a different group. So one group of crows, the experimenters will basically ignore, and the other group they will jump at, or they will suddenly make a move on to scare them, to make them fly away, to give them an association with that experimenter. So over time, their behaviors will be analyzed, whether or not they return with their group and mob the experimenter, or just they leave the experimenter alone. And we expect that the results will show that the crows that were scared or jumped at will attack and mob or scold more often than the group of neutrally treated crows. And that's it. Thank you.
Right, we gotta run it again.